Good morning, Lynn. Good morning, chat. It's wild card weekend, so a lot of football going on this weekend. It's one of my favorite times of the year, leading up to the Super Bowl. But we have to talk some baseball. So right now, the Yankees aren't doing anything. They are consistently disappointing me, and I know that not maybe not a lot of people agree with me, but there's a lot of free agents out there still, and I really don't care about the Cohen threshold at this point. We haven't really improved much, in my opinion. I mean, pitching looks pretty decent, but our infield's still concerning to me. And I think I've said this every day, every week for the last month. But the question of who's playing second and third is still really bothering me. So I don't know how you feel about it, Lynn, but I need the Yankees to do something.
Listen, for a Sunday morning, I have all kinds of feelings and rants that I'm ready to get out of my system. But first, hey, CT, Jonathan, FJ, and Jared, and the numbers guy. Good to see all of you. So here's the thing. Yes, who knew that crickets chirp in the Bronx? The Bronx is so loud and very urban area, but I could hear those crickets chirping all week as I'm looking at all the alerts from from Fine Sands and Passon and Brian Hoke of all these things. And what was the one thing we heard this week? Oh, okay, Scott Efros is back. Yay. And the others that avoided the arbitration. I know you could list them, Ciarra. But I remember thinking, Efros, really? Is that what I'm seeing close to the deadline here? And I just think also, Cashman, in terms of off-season performance, really Baseball Reference should have a stat for that. But I'd say that he started off, at least at a 3.0 cube average, right? Like if you're grading him that.
All right, so we're having some technical difficulties on Lynn's side. Lynn is muted.
Hello?
We can hear you now.
Okay, let's roll with that. Oh my goodness. I thought I got this all out of the way before we went live. All right, everyone say a little prayer for my audio. Yeah, I'm afraid to move. So Brad's saying I'm frozen. I am. Thanks, CT. I've checked mute. I've checked all the things. Okay, yeah, you can hear me now, Verizon. Great. So let me just go right into where I was talking and no one was hearing me. Let's talk about hot topics because when fans are bored, and frankly the press is bored, all sorts of crazy stuff happens. So let me ask you, Ciarra, and the chat a question. Is Cabrera a trading piece?
I mean, for me personally, I don't think Cabrera is a trade piece. And let me start off by saying I think I've been very clear that I'm a fan of Oswaldo Cabrera. He's that ultimate utility guy. So, but with that being said, even if you traded Cabrera for what he's making and kind of who he is, you're not getting back exactly what you need. It would have to be Cabrera plus a few other people. Cabrera's only making $800,000. Like that's chump change in the MLB. So even if you were trying to do I don't even know, like a salary dump, that doesn't work. But if you're trying to trade for a second or third baseman, Waldo is not the guy to get you who you're looking for. And that's no knock on Waldo. I like him. I think he's great. But there are some better options available for us to go out and trade.
Okay, and I'm getting, Jared likes him. Lou doesn't think he's up for trades. Hey, Highlander, he is if it help us get Brendan Donovan, for example. But here I'm putting up on the screen what drove me nuts. Okay, so on the top, the first one on top, was an anonymous quote tweet, and the quote was, "I would trade him for a bag of double bubble." Really, and I happen to love this person, but Brendan Cutie apparently is saying that teams are checking in with the Yankees on him, and so this surprised me. Should it not have surprised me? Because are there teams out there maybe that don't have a super utility guy, and that's why? And at the same time, has Cashman put that out there, and teams are calling back and saying, "Hey, yeah, I'm interested." Because for Cutie to mention this makes me think that, okay, there's something Yankee, coming from the Yankees on this, and it makes me a little bit nervous, a lot of bit nervous actually, and a lot mad. So, but let me also then go to the second fan. And you read it right there. He had his shot here in the Bronx, but it didn't work out like we all thought it would. And true, enough value for a good trade, but but let's get rid of him. He's not doing us any favors anymore. So that made me say, am I the only crazy one out here? Let me check the stats. And so when you look across the board, like take for example his on base percentages, and that has been improving over years, and he's not a power hitter, but he's not in the lineup regularly. There's not a lot of consistency in his stats. But these numbers, like his on base percentage. Let's do this for the season. Well, I'm going to skip the postseason because, quite frankly, he was not. In total, he had 6 at bats in the postseason, so I'm just disregarding that at this point. But then in the regular season, his on base percentage was 296, and his ops was 661, and his batting average was 247. So those numbers don't scream like, oh, we're only keeping him because he's a good bench guy, and when we're desperate, we could platoon him. I can name other people that are on our 40 man that would fit that bill, but it's not Cabrera. Cabrera's our only utility guy. What would we even be thinking? Because DJ is not our utility guy. There's, he's not going to be, he's going to be on the bench, but is he the guy you're going to want to throw in there at anywhere in the infield, or get on the bags when you need a pinch runner, or at the plate if you need a pinch hitter? I just don't get the logic.
Yeah, Waldo is what DJ was supposed to be for us before,
Yes.
His foot kind of let him and us down. And it's unfortunate to see DJ kind of where he's at right now. What scares me even more is that there are rumors circling right now that DJ will be our starting third baseman come opening day. So I'm curious, are the Yankees going to ride this out with DJ starting third and kind of platooning Waldo when DJ needs a day off, and then having Jazz play second until the trade deadline, and then figuring it out at that point, depending on where we're at in the standings? Because there's not really a whole lot of conversations going on right now. This was thrown out there about Waldo, but I haven't seen anything since then. And so I truly don't think it'll happen. I know the Yankees are in conversations with Brendan Rodgers right now, or they've had conversations with Brendan Rodgers. And last week's hot topic was Luis Ariz, right? Like, the Yankees, if there was a gold medal for people we were interested in or having conversations with, the Yankees would be the gold medalist in that category, because we're having conversations and we're interested in everybody and their mama, but we're not doing anything about it. So
right.
I personally think Waldo's safe. We'll see what happens at the deadline.
Right. And Miguel, hey, first of all, thanks for being with us. And it's give him his full shot, in that he's earned his full shot. And so, yeah, so and I get where you're coming from, Miguel, and I think that I would far rather, if it came to this, have Cabrera at third than DJ. But giving him that full shot until we find another platooner. Things were really good when we had both IKF and Cabrera, but we don't have that anymore. And we have Cabrera and DJ, which means we just have Cabrera. And I just don't think, unfortunately, it's the time to give him that shot. I agree with you in theory. And he did come up as a third baseman. So I would far rather have him there, if nothing else happens. But it's the concern about even the possibility of losing him. We've lost enough and we haven't gained enough back. So, and this is just not the move to make. It absolutely, almost made me lose sleep. I was ranting where anyone would listen to me this week when I saw that, and to Ciarra before we came on.
Yeah, and it's a well-deserved rant. I think losing Waldo would be silly because, like I said, the guy only makes $800,000, right? Like,
yeah,
why? Like, what are we even trying to give away at that point? But also, we have a 37-year-old playing first base who's coming off his worst career season. And while I set him on board with Goldie now at this point, and I'm rooting for him to have a bounce back in 2024, I'm still being realistic. He is 37. Okay. If we're relying on DJ LeMahieu to play third base, we have a 35-year-old who's just broken down completely. And, you're going to need a guy to give both of them a day off. And while you can move Cody Bellinger to first base for Goldie, then you got to shift the outfield too. So Waldo just gives you more options when people need days off. And not to mention, Volpe can't play 162 games every season.
Yeah.
The kid does need a day off because there are going to be days where he's struggling and he should get the same treatment as everyone else where he does get a day to rest. So I think letting Waldo go would just be silly.
Yeah, and that's a great point to raise about Volpe, because we've seen Volpe last season waffle, right? And hot, cold, lukewarm, sub-frozen, and then spurts of really, really good. And it's all because he doesn't get a break. And there's no luxury of affording him that break. And so, forget getting rid of Cabrera, get another utility guy. Now, FJ's mentioning here that Brendan Rodgers is a bench guy too. He's not an everyday second baseman. So if we were to acquire him, then I wouldn't be mad at that if that's true. If he's another utility guy, then that's something that I know I'm jumping to what do we want versus what do we need. That's something that I think we need. I think we're short shrift of that, and we were lucky we got through last season with really just mostly relying on Cabrera.
So the only issue is I look at the Yankees past and the decisions they've made on guys who are supposed to be bench utility players or playing guys out of position, and I look to a really recent example of IKF. We brought IKF over, who had won a Gold Glove at third base, and also came up through the system as a catcher.
Yeah.
We brought him over and put him at shortstop, where he played terrible. I could see us making the same mistake with Brendan Rodgers, where we bring him on as an everyday player and putting him at second, and just it not going well because we like to do those things, or we like to throw. We like to throw Jake Bauer out in left field. Like, we do silly things, and Cashman doesn't learn from his mistakes, unfortunately, or the front office or whoever we want to blame at this point. Because at the end of the day, Boone doesn't make all the decisions. We are a very analytically driven organization, and it always comes back to bite us in the ass. So,
wow, yeah,
that's my concern.
Yeah, and don't leave out that IKF also pitched, which I'll never get over.
IKF is the GOAT.
Seriously, there needs to be like an award for that. Like, what hasn't he done?
Listen, he not for nothing, and I know we're getting off topic now. I clearly like the underdogs. IKF, when he had that bounce back season in 2023, not that it mattered because we didn't do good, but he showed up in 2023 knowing he lost his starting job. He played every position put in front of him, and he played it freaking good. Okay, like I don't care what anyone says. 2023 IKF, he had his redemption tour, and I loved every moment of it.
Yeah, I did too, and I was like, "Booyah!" Because I was an IKF fan, and still am. So, and Cashman saying this is all about Sasaki. I know that Sasaki's been at the root of everything we want and need, and we're probably going to end up like Charlie Brown and Lucy with the football, because it's not going to happen. But yeah, maybe he's holding back on that because they're going to go all in for Sasaki. But you know what? And I'm not saying I wouldn't take Sasaki and go to the parade if we get Sasaki. I'll host a reception myself. But it doesn't solve the holes. It doesn't solve the holes in the field. And we're still in such need there. And so and there's things relatively little things Cashman hasn't been doing. So I think that's something we want to talk about next. Let's talk about some of the free agents on the Yankees that, other than, that are still in the wind. Why don't you start with that?
Yeah, I mean, Tommy Kahnle's still out there, and I don't really know how I feel at this point. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. So he is pretty consistent in general, right? He's 35, so he's kind of up there in age. He's not like old yet. Last season he did put up a 2.11 ERA, which isn't terrible. He had a 58.6% ground ball percentage. So he's not a strikeout guy, which is totally fine. But he also 73% of the time threw a changeup. And I thought that was interesting because can Tommy throw something else? But anyway, so if you had asked me before the World Series if I wanted to resign Tommy Kahnle, I would have said yes. He did kind of suck in the World Series, so that's my only concern. But like everybody did. So I don't know if I can even hold that against him because he sucked, Cole sucked, Rizzo sucked, Judge sucked. The only guy that didn't suck at this point was Volpe, who showed up, and Giancarlo Stanton. But there are 8 teams interested in Tommy Kahnle right now, so I'm kind of curious to see how this plays out. Somehow we always end up reuniting with the guy, so I feel like he'll be a Yankee at the end of the day. And it just comes down to how much money does he want versus how much money do we want to give him.
I really want to hope that is true, that they really just can't quit Kahnle, because neither can I. I just can't quit him. It's sort of like, the friend that really didn't treat you all that great, but they're still great to have around you. So I really would like to, at this point, not let go of Kahnle yet, because if you're doing it for the same reasons, in terms of the lack of performance that you just laid out, Ciarra, then why aren't we having those same eyeballs on everyone else that tanked? So, and by the way, Hill and Meza are also among the relievers that are still free agents. So my sense with them is that they're trading pieces, right? And maybe Kahnle is on the bubble, or are they flat out all waiting for that Sasaki moment, or whatever else they end up putting together to cobble together a deal with spending not as much cash as they can.
Yeah, I don't know what the Yankees are doing at this point. I would have brought back Meza because he would have cost less than $5 million at this point. I mean, I think Clark Schmidt is making even less than $5 million, so Meza would have been super cheap. And he's a left-handed pitcher. Is that not what we need?
Yeah,
Hill's a right-hander, but Mesa's a left-hander, so I don't know. And also, not for nothing. So we talk about how, Matt Blake, the one thing he is good at is taking these clearance rack guys and turning them into decent pitchers. There's 2 examples right there. So are they afraid that Matt Blake can't develop them past that, because that's my concern with Matt Blake, is he can only develop so far. And I've said this before, he's not good with starting pitchers. So can he not develop anybody past like that half season point where he like revamps them like as a project? Because if so, then that's a coaching issue, and that's something that we should address versus not bringing back a pitcher that could really make a difference for us.
Right. Yep. And so, Brad and FJ are saying that, they don't need an addition to the pennant unless it's a lefty. So, that would mean Hill and Mesa, right? Should come back then.
Yeah. I mean, I would take them both back, right? Because I think they're both cheap options. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, you can trade them at the deadline. I see people saying that Tim Hill is left-handed, but I thought only Tim Mesa was left-handed.
Oh, okay. Well, Brad's tripling down.
I'm gonna Google it, Brad.
I could name that tune in 3 notes. All right. So, yeah, and I know that Sasaki is good in all sorts of ways. So, I hear you, Yankees, town babe, and I know
they're both left-handed. Whatever, I'm wrong. It's okay.
That's all right. Next round, you'll do better. Look, I'm wrong all the time. Okay, and Brad's saying that Hill and Chafin are the 2 names.
And that's so they said that like a month ago now, and we're still kind of waiting. And I know everyone says we're waiting on Sasaki, and he has until, I think the deadline is the 20th now at this point. I don't like that we're waiting on one person that we may or may not get. Like, we are the underdogs in the Sasaki sweepstakes. It doesn't matter that we have more free international free agency money at this point. The Dodgers are the home of the Japanese players, okay? The Padres also have some Japanese players. And then, honestly, I know I sound like a crazy person because I keep saying this, but the Cubs have 2 Japanese players, and they could be the Midwest hub if anybody wants to go to the Midwest versus going to the West Coast, because it's still closer than the East Coast to Japan at that point. Or do I not understand? Like, there's a good chance I don't understand geography, so feel free to tell me that I sound stupid right now. But either way, I think we have an uphill battle for Sasaki, and while I would celebrate like Lynn if we got him, we should be making other moves ahead of getting Sasaki. If we get him, great. It's the icing on the cake. If we don't, we made the moves we needed to make, and now we don't look like idiots going into the 2025 season.
Okay, you could all blame Brad for giving me a shiny object to go way off topic. Let me give you a geography lesson. Speaking of geography,
only team in New York
is in the state of New York. Let me give you another geography point. The New York Jets, the New York Giants play in New Jersey. So tell me how they are the New York teams, but don't play in New York. And the Bills are a Canadian team because they happen to be on the border of Canada, but play in Buffalo, New York, and are, in fact, technically the only New York team. That's where their facility is. That's where their stadium is. That's where their shiny rooftop stadium is going to be in 2026. And you have to go across the GW Bridge, and for some people pay that luxury tax of $9 per passenger as a New Yorker to get over to New Jersey, where the Jets and the Giants play. So get out of here. Get out of here with that crap.
Not to mention Brad lives in Australia and is a 49ers fan. Just throwing that out there.
And Brad, I'm taking this full on out on you. First of all, because you put it out there. Second of all, because it was someone who's very dear to me, had the nerve to say this to me on Twitter last night. And I literally was like, oh, no, you didn't. Because no, not a Canadian team. And so what if there was a Canadian team in the NFL and I rooted for them? So what? Maybe, it's a small world after all. Walt Disney said so, okay? But
listen, and not for nothing, the Bills, the O.J. Simpson curse is finally broken. The Bills could finally do it.
absolutely, 100%. And just think about, they have quite a legacy behind them. And by the way, I'm no bandwagon Bills fan. I went to school up in that area way back before any of you were even thought about being born. And so I have been a Bills fan since the early 80s. And now I'm in my early 80s. So that's how long. Okay. So, and at all risks, I'm a Bills fan, given that one sister is a Giants diehard, the other sister is a Jets diehard, and I married into the Steelers nation. And nothing has taken me, away from my Bills. So we'll see what we're saying. We'll see what we're saying next week and the weeks after. But thanks for that. I need less caffeine, Brad. Okay, let's get back on track for Brad.
Amazing work.
And so and Ciarra, you put some. Let's go back to Canely for a minute, which is where we started.
Okay.
We really just did want to, more than anyone, and I do agree with getting all three. Let's get the trio. Let's make sure we re-sign Canely, Meza, Hill. You get the Southpaws and you get Canely, who has had really good, solid moments. Is he spotty? Yes. Do you need Rolade sometimes? Yes. Do you throw things at the TV sometimes? Yes. But I think that he came back strong last season and really just tanked towards the end. And his stats, Ciarra, what do you want to say about his overall performance?
I mean, a 2.11 ERA that's good. You know what I mean? Like if you're looking at an entire season, 2.11 ERA, like that's very good. I didn't realize until I actually took a deep dive into his advanced stats. I've become more of a stats nerd lately, guys, and I'm still learning. I actually learned a new stat for defense the other day called range or range factor, but that doesn't have anything to do with pitching, so I'm going to move on from that. I didn't realize how much of a ground ball pitcher he was. And by Tommy Canely being a ground ball pitcher, he helps my Marcus Stroman argument. So I just bring him back because all three, you would put the two left-handers, now that I'm corrected, and Tommy Canely back in the bullpen. On top of that, you're looking at Devin Williams and Luke Weaver to close out games. Like, if Williams and Weaver already on paper are a scary combo. Adding those three, I think the Yankees would have the best bullpen in baseball.
Yep.
Not to mention our rotation right now, and I'm sorry, guys, I know a lot of people want to get rid of Stroman, but he's going to be here next season. And he's going to have a bounce back season. And I'm going to be here every step of the way to rub it in everyone's face as it happens, because I'm a Marcus Stroman girly and I'm sick of the Marcus Stroman slander. But anyway, so we have a 6-man rotation at this point. There's no reason we shouldn't win games next season with pitching. But that brings me back to my whole point that I made when the show opened up is the infield. If we don't have the infield defense, it will hurt us again.
Absolutely. And Yankees Town, babe. I know this is, I believe your first time with us. I tend to be overly dramatic and very facetious. And I truly hope that you're playing along with that and don't think that I really am in my early 80s. because I might have a meltdown, and Ciarra, you'll have to finish the show on your own.
All right, guys, buckle up because we're going 20 minutes about Marcus Stroman if Lynn's out the door.
But, I'm in my early 60s, so so I was just hyper exaggerating. And hooray if I look good like this as an 80-year-old. I don't know what to say about that, but
I think so.
No, it's not.
I think he was Joe Schuin or something like
that. Oh, gotcha. You switched names on us. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Hi, turned 60 in August. The whole world knew about it because I was crying about it on every show. Anyhow.
You were crying about turning 60 in August, and I was crying about turning 30 in August. It was
great. And guess who said cry less, girl? I'd switch with you in a hot second. Woo! Anyhow, yes. So these holes in the infield still have us, really shorthanded. And again, the Sasaki yada yada, I get it, and it's worth it. And but we can't ignore the infield. You know, Glaber, we're not going to revisit Glaber and the reasons why and so forth, but second base is too important to play around with, as is third. All positions are important. We're lucky that we have Chisholm who could do either. We're lucky that he got re-signed. And so, because who knows with Cashman anymore, or that he had a longer contract. Because by the way, all these stopgap contracts I'm seeing this year, it's literally like an epidemic to me. Like, what are all these 1-year signings, and who are we waiting for? For next season that I don't know about. So, and everyone's rubbing it in on ages. FJ, yay! I'll catch you at Dunkin' for the 10-cent donut on Wednesdays. So, see, these are my people.
Okay, Brad, I lost everybody this season. Okay, like I lost Glaber, I lost Cody Poteet. They've been talking about trading Clark Schmidt and Marcus Stroman. Like, they're coming after all my people. I'm just gonna have Giancarlo Stanton left, and I don't know if I can handle that. I was joking around with friends the other day on the internet, and I said I'm just gonna have to root for the pinstripes by themselves, because clearly I am the Grim Reaper. All of my favorite players in both football and baseball this last season either got hurt or traded. Football, Christian McCaffrey, like, I don't know if his leg will ever be the same ever again. I blame the Madden curse for that one, though. But Brandon Ayuk got hurt. Nick Bosa had a terrible season. So, and then in baseball, Glaber had a terrible first half and then signed somewhere else. Cody Poteet, who was good, got traded. So, like, I give up at this point, Brad. So thank you for pointing that out.
Yep. Oh, FJ, I haven't heard Murakami mentioned in a minute. So
here comes LI.
So, FJ, are you saying in addition to Sasaki or instead of Sasaki? Because I don't see the Yankees going for both.
Murakami would be next season.
Okay.
Well, because LA reminds me every day that is Cashman's big plan, is that we're going to get Murakami next season, and then we're going to make a huge trade in 2029.
Okay. Well, you know what? I live in the present, because tomorrow's not promised. So, yeah. So, and I think so. Yankees Town is saying that Stroman really should be a trade piece. I don't think.
Can I just say something real quick about Stroman, because there's been a lot of hate. Yeah. Like, the guy gets a lot of hate, and I know he runs his mouth, but I don't really care about that. Look at 2023 in the first half of the season with the Cubs before Stroman got hurt. He would have been a candidate for the Cy Young Award. Had he not gotten hurt, who knows what 2023 Stroman would have did. 2024 Stroman, he was clearly still struggling. He had location issues, velocity issues, and Stroman obviously knows this, because he didn't say anything about the Yankees not playing him in the playoffs or the World Series. He took it on the chin. He sucked it up. We don't know what he's been doing in the off season, but I could see Marcus Stroman being your comeback player of the year come 2025. He would, looking at his overall numbers career-wise, Marcus Stroman would be a good number 5 in any rotation. And I don't know why we pretend like that's not true. Rant over.
Well, yeah, and so he'll be the classic leave the Yankee, go somewhere else, and be the MVP of next season for somebody else. Get a golden glove with somebody, a gold glove with somebody else. And so, a lot of people are skeptical, but that's okay. This is what Ciarra wants, and I support it. FJ is telling you to root for DJ
because he wants him to get traded or hurt. That's terrible, FJ.
Yeah, I mean, of course we're going to root for DJ while he's here. And look, anything's possible. Anything's possible. He could come back like a bionic man and have a good, last sputter of performance that we haven't seen in 3 seasons. And so, of course, we're going to root for him, but it's called managing expectations and looking at the history and looking at the age, but age not as much as the history, because I know that I think of players that just got signed that are in their mid to approaching upper 30s that people are putting a lot of hope into. So, and
Paul Goldschmidt.
and one of them being at the base that right, that DJ should be platooning for. Yeah. So, and the chat's really full on focused on, getting Sasaki, and that would mean probably Stroman and Schmidt in the package. I really don't see, but it doesn't matter what I see. It would be foolish to get rid of Schmidt. It would. He's young. He's farm grown. He's what we want, like, to show, hey, Yankees do hold on to guys as they come up, and he went into he pivoted from pen to starter so seamlessly when we needed him the most, and showed up in a very respectable fashion. So I don't know what I would rant, how long I would rant if that happened.
Well, if you look at Schmidt 2023 when he had to become a starter halfway through the season versus 2024, there's a huge difference in his numbers and just his ability to pitch versus throw. Clark Schmidt had the second best numbers on our team before he got injured in 2024. So who knows what we could have gotten out of Schmidt. And that's a bigger issue, I think, in general for the Yankees and their pitching staff, is how do we keep our pitchers healthy? Because last year, between 23 and 24, something happened with Cole's arm. We had an issue with Rodon for a few years. Last year, Schmidt got injured. Stroman had issues. So we have good pitchers on paper. How do we keep them healthy? And in general, we need to take a deep dive and a bigger look at the Yankees medical staff, because we have too many weird, freaky injuries that happen that I think is a bigger concern.
Really, I mean, Rizzo will always be the cautionary tale. And I know he's not a pitcher, but it really put up in lights the need for everybody on that team to be fired and bring in the whatever Sasaki level is in in sports medicine, because of what you just said, these injuries that are popping up with pitchers, and and Highlander, I do not see a way. That's something I'm very confident about. They are not going to give away Rookie of the Year. They'd have to be offered something on a silver platter that is so full of dollars and players to do that. And I just don't see, even then, I'm not so sure. Yankees Town, I know, talking about Stroman, was saying his velocity went down big time. Well, the thing is, he never came in as a fastball guy. His velocity, he was in Nestor Cortes territory. We knew that's not what we were getting. Just a straight up ground ball pitcher with low velocity. And I would say that where Stroman was missing the mark was more on command than anything. Maybe because I didn't have the expectations on the velocity. But
no, you're 100% right. You're both right. His velocity did go down, but he also was never this 100-mile-per-hour fastball pitcher. But one of the upsides of Marcus Stroman is he has 6 pitches. And you know what? Here's something that really bothers me about a lot of the young guys coming up right now. They are throwers and not pitchers, and a lot of them are coming up with 2 pitches. It's very rare for somebody to have the skill set and the mixed bag that Stroman has. And if he figures out that command and that velocity, that 6-pitch mix could be a deadly combo. So the Yankees pitching staff needs to get their act together and work with their starting pitchers and not just their clearance rack, dumpster dive bullpen arms. So
Yep.
And to after his point, the bad infield defense. I said earlier, Stroman is a ground ball pitcher. Bad infield defense is always going to mess up a ground ball pitcher. It did it to Stroman, and it did it to Clay Holmes. So
Right.
we have other issues that we need to fix. Like Marcus Stroman isn't the issue.
Right. And like Nestor, you're not Stroman was never the guy to go long in a game. So I don't know the numbers behind the when the points of collapse were in each of those games, but if he gets into the fifth, that's a good day for Stroman. So yeah, his durability I don't think was a huge expectation. And I guess that begs the question, then why get him if he wasn't like the full kind of package?
We took a discount to be here.
We did. It was definitely discount shopping. But okay. So would I trade Heel or Schmidt? You're asking me Yankees Town? Absolutely not. For the reasons I just said. Schmidt has been solid when our number one and especially number two pitchers have waffled and wavered. And he's been the steadiest one in the rotation in my mind. Certainly when you want to compare him to Rodon, and it's not unfair to compare him to Stroman. Schmidt stays. He earned that spot from the pen to the starting rotation, and he'll just won Rookie of the Year. I just don't see that happening. It can happen for the right dollars and the right players, but again, another potential generational Yankee that they'd be giving away at a baby age. And
I'm gonna be.
No.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go.
I'm gonna be completely honest. If I had to choose between the two, I'm trading Luis Heel because he's coming off Rookie of the Year. He is going to get me something that's more valuable. He just won Rookie of the Year. He has a higher upside at this point, but I'm not doing it unless you can guarantee me a Gold Glove second baseman or an actual leadoff hitter who is going to get on base in front of Aaron Judge. That's all I'm asking for at this point. We haven't had a leadoff hitter in so long. We've had a rotation at third base and first base and left field, and I would just like to solve one of those issues in this offseason if possible. So if trading Luis Heel with a higher upside is going to get me that, I would do it. But at this point, every single person that the Yankees are interested in or in conversations with isn't worth it to me. We're looking at Jorge Polanco, Carlos Correa, Brendan Rodgers. Like, come on. We can't do better than that. Carlos Correa's ankle is hanging on by a freaking thread, okay? Jorge Polanco's batting average is not the best. And maybe I'm a loser because I look at batting average and that's not the overall picture anymore. But to me, that does tell you a guy's ability to hit the ball or not. Brendan Rodgers, like mentioned earlier, is not even a starting second baseman. So I really don't know what the Yankees' plans are at this point. But if getting rid of Heel brought me a solution to one of the issues I mentioned, then I would sign up for it because I got to live in the here and the now.
And Yankees Town is saying he meant in regard to Sasaki.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was more looking at, just the filling the holes in a package. Ciarra, I think before we hopped on, we were talking about Donovan. Have we talked about Donovan yet?
No, and it's so funny that Steven brings that up because we have talked about it, and one of my good friends, Rich Rivera, has, he mentioned it from the beginning of the season, and I think Brendan Donovan is a good option, but I have not seen the Yankees have any conversations with this guy. I really don't know what we're doing at this point. Another option, and I really thought when we got Goldschmidt that this would open up the door, would have been Nolan Arenado, right? He would have been the perfect solution for third base. Or, I'm going to throw up even saying this guy's name. Alec Bohm. The Phillies clearly want to get rid of him. The guy still has an upside, but he like really makes me want to regurgitate. But I would learn to live with it. So there are still a lot of good options out there. The Yankees just aren't doing it. Or in my, delusional world, another good option is, and I've said it before because I'm crazy, Jose Ramirez. The Guardians aren't competing this season. They let Naylor walk. They let go of their Gold Glove second baseman. What do they need Jose Ramirez for? Call up Cleveland right now. Ask them what the hell they want and bring me Jose Ramirez. Okay? And I promise, Graham Highlander, I will not burn Cleveland down this time. I just need Cashman to have the conversation.
Yeah, and FJ is saying that the River Ave, had an article that the Cards are putting Donovan on the block. So
yeah, but that doesn't mean the Yankees are talking to him, and that's my concern. Like we're looking, like I said, we're looking at guys like Polanco and Correa instead.
So let's wake things up a little bit. So Donovan is a reasonable choice, and a choice that has been on lots of our minds. But a name got tossed out to us yesterday that I haven't seen in any conversation. Jake Cronenworth from the Padres, 30-year-old second baseman. What do we think about why his name hasn't been in the conversation, and should it be?
Because he signed a 7-year extension last season, or not last season. It was in April of 23, or 7-year extension. So unless the Padres are looking to do a serious jump, which they could be, because I don't know if anyone else has seen what's going on over there in San Diego. They're having some front office issues. Everybody's fighting. So it's a very good chance that they are trying to do a salary jump, but so is like 75% of MLB right now. So I don't think that he's a viable option for the New York Yankees at this point.
Okay. I was like, wow, why is this name getting tossed? And only just by one person at this point. I thought it was just interesting. But somebody, the chat's going so fast. That Cleveland wouldn't give up Donovan. I guess unless we had the.
I could say St. Louis giving up Donovan because they've had so many guys put on the block this offseason, and I don't really know what's going on in St. Louis right now. There's so much happening in MLB. I could see it. I mean, they already let Goldie walk. They're, Nolan Arenado's still in conversations with other people. So why not blow up the whole thing at this point, right?
Let's do something. Yeah, let's blow this up.
It would be interesting, though, if we were to bring on Brendan Donovan, right? Because I've seen other Cardinals names thrown out there the Yankees fans want. Obviously, Arenado was one of them. Jojo Romero was one of them. So, like, the New York Mets have become the New York Yankees in the offseason, right? They signed Juan Soto. They signed Clay Holmes. They're looking at Alex Verdugo. So, are the New York Yankees going to turn around and then become the St. Louis Cardinals? Like, and maybe it doesn't matter, but I think signing a bunch of guys from one team and bringing them on doesn't solve any issues. Like, I'm not against Brendan Donovan, but like, I don't know. I have some concerns with like bringing on a bunch of people from one team who didn't compete when we're trying to compete. Unless I'm the only person that didn't get the memo that the New York Yankees aren't competing in 2025, because that's what it feels like at this point.
Okay. So here's my next something I think we still need, and would love your thoughts, Ciarra, everybody. I still feel like we need a solid, steady catcher platoon pool.
100%.
And I know we've tossed things casually around on the show before, but like it's time to get serious about that. So, right now we have Wells standing alone, basically. What are we doing there? And mine's, I think, automatically or very quickly go to Rice. But seriously, why are they looking for other catchers to bring on, or are they going to look to the farm and promote up and actually commit to them being in that position, whoever they may be? Ciarra.
Yeah, so I think we're looking at the farm at JC Escara at this point. Or who knows, maybe somebody else from the farm will get a chance. But I think that's one position where we're going to stick with the young guys. Wells is a great option for our starter. He really proved himself last season. He was in conversation for Rookie of the Year. I mean, and he had his struggles, right? But he was a rookie. Like what can you expect at that point? He's obviously a huge improvement from Jose Trevino. Um, but yeah, I think the farm is where our platoon is coming from, and I'm okay with that in that position.
Yeah, and plus for Scar is that he's already on the 40 man as of now.
Mm-hmm.
And Graham, yeah, I think we are looking for a backup catcher. Trevi's gone, and so we do need that backup catcher on the roster, and then a third in reserves, quite frankly, so ready to go at any moment. And so it'll soon, I guess, we're going to be hearing about spring training invites and who's going to be invited
I
up.
mean, we have 4 catchers on the 40-man roster right now. So we have
Oh,
JC,
okay.
Alex Jackson, who was the guy we got in the trade, which I'm still waiting for him to be flipped because that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Jesus Rodriguez, and then obviously we have Austin Wells, who will be our catcher. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, I think we have our backup catcher. It's just a matter of which one of these guys will it be. And then Alex Jackson, like when we got him in that trade, we literally traded Jose Trevino for a worse version of Jose
Right.
Trevino. So I'm still waiting to see what comes out of that.
Right. That's going to be very interesting. And thank you also, Jonathan, for reminding me of that. Yeah, it wasn't like a woo, what a get moment. I don't
No,
think so.
I remember I'm like, what the hell? Like, what just happened?
Okay, so let's talk a minute about prospects because we already are. So I just thought this was interesting. There were two things from the MLB pipeline that were very interesting to me and very telling in terms of everything we've been discussing about what the Yankees aren't doing for the farm. So if you look here for who hoards their prospects the most, it I found it very surprising that the Yankees didn't make the top 10 here.
Me too.
Isn't this stunning to you? I just so begs the question, is that just us, being the petulant fan base that we are?
I don't think so because I talked to a lot of people from other fan bases online, and it's a very well known fact that the Yankees, they take those 4 or 5 prospects that they love and they hug them to death and they kill their careers and they don't make the trades that they should make. But at the same time, I'm not super surprised to see Baltimore here because I feel like they have a lab somewhere where they're producing a bunch of guys who look like Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman. Like if you look at their farm system, and this has nothing to do with anything, but I just find it interesting. They all look alike. They all look the same, and it's freaky and it bothers me. But
That's scary.
yeah,
That might be a Netflix series at some point. Go ahead.
but that's it. Tampa Bay being in the top 10 surprises me because Tampa Bay is really good at developing talent and then trading them away. Like they're never in the conversation to compete, but they know how to develop. So
Yeah.
that surprises me.
And you raised that, and it aligns with a thought I had that's missing. The story that's missing here is for how long they're hoarding them.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the outcome when they're no longer hoarding them in the minors? Do they then come up like Aaron Judge did? Are there Aaron Judge type people in these percentages? Or is this just leaving them there to wither and die, like Peraza is turning out to be.
Yeah.
So that's like a story behind this that I don't have.
Well, and it's hard when you're looking at prospects. In my opinion, it's hard, right? Because until they come up and play, they're just prospects. You don't know how they're going to pan out. Nobody could have looked at Aaron Judge in his minor league career and predicted that he would be the Aaron Judge that we have now. Like he was not a top 10 guy. Like he was talented, but nobody could have predicted that. And that's why I think we're so unfair to Spencer Jones to compare him to Aaron Judge because Aaron Judge isn't supposed to be Aaron Judge. I'm happy it happened, but he was never predicted to be this unicorn, multiple MVP. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, but it is interesting that you bring that up because you have your Esteban Florials, you have your Oswaldo Cabrera, or I'm sorry, Oswald Peraza, and those are guys who's we literally have watched their careers die in our minor league system.
Right. 100%. And Stephen B saying that the MLB has 18 has us
Has
as
us at
18.
18.
Yeah, for prospect ratings. I thought we were a
Which
little bit
well, it depends. So there's so many
different measures.
things. Yeah, so I can't remember which one had us at like 29. They
Yep.
kind of hurt to see, but
Yep.
that's truly where I feel like we're at. Like 18 is in the middle. Okay, we moved up a little, whatever. But I feel like we're the 29, 30 because you look at all the names that are on the top, like the top prospect list. Only guy we have in there is Jason Dominguez, who a lot of fans make fun of us that we even consider him a prospect at this point because he should be on the major league roster, and it just hasn't played out that way.
Well, it looks like it's playing out that way now. He will
Yeah.
be. And so yeah, I jumped ahead. I thought I had another slide on this that I must have forgotten to put in. Yeah, because there was a different one. But okay, for next week if it's still relevant. Most of our high prospects were banged up last year, Graham is saying. So
That seems to be an us issue across the board, whether it's
yeah,
the minors or the majors. So I don't know what we're doing, but
yeah,
maybe we should figure that out.
Yeah, we need better medical advisement and attention. All right, so we are today at 30 days until pitchers and catchers report, guys. So there's the schedule out there for you. Thank you, Chris Kirschner. And so February 21st, first spring training game. Who from the minors do you want to see to get invites? I'd love to hear this from the chat. And you, Ciarra, who do you want a look at of all the prospects?
Anybody who can play second base at this point. Vivas, Peraza, all of them. I would also like to see TJ Rumfield get an invite. Because again, I'm concerned about Paul Goldschmidt being 37. So I would just like to see him get a look so that if we need him to be brought up at some point in the season, we know what he can do. That's about it for me.
Yeah.
And maybe, and I know he will, but maybe Spencer Jones.
Yeah. I think Spencer Jones is like the most common name that is said on our shows. And we really, it's time to see him. And another one, like let Peraza be a cautionary tale. Let's why Spencer Jones, it's time. Give him that audition now. Otherwise, while he still has a value, then use him for a piece. So and Graham is saying that, and I agree with this one, Henry Lillane. So Henry Lillane is somebody that he would want to see invited, and Stephen B has a whole list here. Chase Hampton, absolutely.
Hampton.
Huh?
I'm laughing at the typo. Base Hampton.
Yeah. So yeah, Rice.
Yeah, we talked about Chase Hampton last week too under our prospects. So yeah, give him a look.
Absolutely. I personally would also, in terms of pitching, like to see Brock Selvage get an invite. Because I'm liking what he's putting out, and I think it'd be good to have him up. We should always be looking at those pitchers and looking at them early, and promoting them. When they're young. I think he's in AA now, or he might even. I don't think he's on the Renegades anymore, but I'm looking at Brock Selvage. And Graham saying when Spencer kicks the door in, we once again have the modern version of the M&M brothers. Okay. Gotta look up that.
I would love to see Spencer Jones kick the door in, just because we've been talking about this guy forever, right? Every Yankees content creator, every Yankees YouTuber, every Yankees fan, like online, Spencer Jones is the guy that everyone consistently talks about. So if he could finally break the door in for himself, that'd be fantastic. However, I am concerned that it won't be this season still because we have a 4-person outfield already, and we have Waldo as the utility guy at this point. So where would Spencer Jones fit into this equation this season?
That's what we call a rhetorical question. Okay. Graham, admittedly, at noon,
She's focusing on the Bills right now, Graham.
No, I'm not. I'll admit right now what I was thinking of. I'm like, was there an M&M's commercial that I had to tie in here? That's probably because I haven't had breakfast and it's noon. But I went right to M&M's, the candy. Of course, I know M&M is. Forgive me. I should have had the baseball reference in my mind.
Amazing.
And Graham, you absolutely were lucky enough to see Mantle and Maris play. You know, I'm a little bit behind you, so I'm forever grateful that I got to see the likes of Munson play, and Mercer and Reggie. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I know. Okay, give me a demerit for today. I'll brush up on my history. I just bought three new books, 3 new Yankee history books. So I'm gonna hit them again. I'm gonna get back in the books just for you. I don't want to disappoint you, Highlander. Um, and so Bellinger. Oh, so Brad's coming in about Bellinger. Oops, and I thought I put it up.
Does he though, Brad? Does he? Does he become the first baseman? And does Spencer Jones be brought up? Because the Cubs aren't guaranteed to extend Kyle Tucker. So that's another free agent who's going to be out there. And while the Blue Jays just settled an arbitration with Vladdy, he will be a free agent next season. And not to mention Murakami from Japan, which I don't think he has anything to do with the Yankees, but I'm just throwing his name out there. So there are a lot of options in 2026.
Right. And Murakami was mentioned earlier, and so don't hit them too hard. I'm really a peacemaker. I'm not. I talk a good game, Brad. All right. So last thoughts, best thoughts. What do you want to see the next time? By the time we see each other next, Ciarra.
I would just like the Yankees to make a move between now and next Sunday. That's all I'm asking for. My mind is on football for the next few days, so I will forgive the Yankees if they don't make a move between now and like Tuesday. But between Wednesday and Sunday, can we get a move? That's all I'm asking.
Same. Well, and a win for the Bills today. But yes. This is the Yankee
Let's go, Josh Allen.
It's the Yankees broadcast. So yes, I really want to see some things settled. I want to see the infield resolved. Just give us a glimmer of a move towards that that makes sense and balances us out better. And just be players. And yes, Sasaki's a big deal, and that's going to be the big deal through the 21st. So or is it the 15th?
So I thought it was the 15th, but somebody the other day told me it was the 20th. So I'm just going to go with sometime in January.
Let's do that. Sometime between the 15th and the 21st.
Oh, Brad.
Brad, you're really trying to,
I really wanted a Bills 49ers Super Bowl this season.
Yep. And your team, Brad, you said was what, the 49ers?
Don't do it, Lynn. Don't do it.
I can't do that because
don't take me down with him.
I can't do that because I love my co-host. And I also love you, Brad. You're a big supporter. So support me all the way, Brad. Come on, man. You got no skin in the game. Anyway, that's okay.
Brad, just go look at a picture of Matt Milano and then tell me you're not rooting for the Bills.
Really?
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, your cousin's here. Matt Petit is here, saying go Commanders. Okay, they're not playing the Bills today, so
That's my husband, and he's a Commanders fan for whatever reason.
hey Matt, nice to meet you. Okay, yeah. Until they face the Bills, go Commanders. And Highlander. Oh, the mighty pack. I'm that old. The nasty mighty pack. Yeah, just like we remember Graham, the real evil empire. Everyone thinks that it's the dream team from the 90s is the evil empire. No, it's not. Yeah, the pack needs some extra cans built into it. It's not even a six pack anymore.
Listen, people, all that matters is that Lynn's Bills are going to win today because OJ Simpson died. The curse is broken. They can actually go to the Super Bowl and not lose on a wide right field goal. Okay, that's what's important here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and to get us back on track, thanks for solving the equation, Brad. So he has until 23rd to make his decision, and it's expected that his decision will be around the 20th. Okay, and he's not a Boris candidate, right? In which case it'll go till the 23rd at 11:59 a.m. and still not be settled. Anyway, all right. So everyone in the chat, it's been a. Oh, you have a facial expression. You want to?
Because I don't. This person just popped in and said they have the Broncos 31-20 on the Bills, and I just choosing violence today.
Ooh, El Supreme Loco.
He has Loco in the name.
Yeah, Loco. Hey, hit us up in the comments on our right underneath this video later, and let us know how that worked out for you. I'll be ready to respond. Okay. So listen, chat. You guys have been great co-hosts. We went all over the map and went out of territories. So thanks for the football, off ramps, and even you, Brad. Thank you, Brad. I know you're just getting me riled up for the game, which is starting in under an hour. So let's hope we have some news to really dig our teeth into next week. And until then, enjoy those playoff games. Good luck to your teams until you're facing the Bills. Ciarra, thanks for being awesome. And as always, you'll always have a seat with Ciarra and me and a seat with the guys on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Ronald Don and our dear Uncle Tats at 10 a.m. And don't forget Yankified on Saturday nights with Donald Stewart running his own little ship at it was 7:30 last night. Just hit the subscribe, and that video will come on for you. But we are all around the clock here at Pinstripe Chronicles, and we appreciate your support. See you next week, and go Yankees, Bills.